I was recalling in my mind just talking about the Cybercab when it first was revealed, but we were watching that yellow banana car for some time before the We Robot event. Do you remember that? It's just covered in boxes and shrink wrapped into it. And then, of course, when we found out it had super stylish doors, and people were like, "There's no way that's going to be a production version. No way," because they'll swing out, chop into cars. It's like, no, look at it from the aerial view, and they actually don't protrude out much at all, do they? Just we've been following this for so long, and I sometimes like to remember where we were not so long ago. It's quite funny. But this is due to start in April 2026 at Giga Texas. First slow and then all at once. I mean, this is the the dream of the Cybercab, that they can first produce a few hundred per week. What are they exactly going to do with them if they can't get them immediately out on the road?
You go path of least resistance. Their regulations in Nevada permit that to operate today. So you would start by flooding Nevada. Austin, it appears they are ready to go for Austin. And that means all of Texas. So just Texas and Nevada, you could absorb tens of thousands of them if the network can handle them.
And as far as I understand it, Texas is quite a big place, isn't it?
Texas is fairly large. Texas is very big. There are parts of Texas that are farther from the state capital than they are from the West Coast. It is a very big state. The Cybercab, I don't know, man. It's just very exciting. I had a chance to interview the engineers who designed and built it. And this factory you're seeing here, this is Texas. This is the actual line. Joe Tegmeyer, the drone pilot out of Austin, has had a chance to see the line himself, walk the line himself, and ask questions, several of which were answered. Would you like me to address the question of the steering wheel?
Let's just go back to basics here. Elon wants pure robotaxis, doesn't he? So no steering wheels, no pedals from production in April. That was the goal. Adding a steering wheel would obviously increase costs and weight and complexity and all the things we've all been discussing for a long time. And it really does defeat the simplification process, doesn't it? Now, I know Farzad and lots of others have a more pragmatic view of early versions with a steering wheel and pedals is going to mean faster approvals and flexibility. But maybe we should just tackle the approvals part of this. So on the regulation side, I was led to believe that there was a 2,500 autonomous vehicle production cap for any vehicle that was an autonomous vehicle. NHTSA rules normally require manual controls, and exemption caps are set at 2,500. But Tesla is not using exemptions at all. It's pursuing self-certification plus pushing regulators to update outdated rules for purpose-built autonomous vehicles. So that alone just totally bypasses the issue of an autonomous vehicle cap. That is a good thing, isn't it? Am I missing anything there?
No. There was a 2,500 vehicle cap. And at one time, the cap was 2,500 total, not per year, not per brand, but just 2,500 total, which is a very weird way to make a cap. That was updated to 2,500 per year per company. And then the FMVSS, the NHTSA document, updated to allow vehicles without manual controls. So that concern, and I had someone even yesterday in my comments on YouTube saying, well, this Cybercab will never happen because they don't have approval. I said, no, the approval is sorted. And he said, whatever, cultist, show it to me. So I did. But, no, I didn't realize anyone still had that confusion. But if you did not know, this does not require additional approvals.
So in your view, what's in the way of Tesla being able to produce these without steering wheels and immediately start flooding the first states that allow it, and then hopefully address the issue of more states quickly as production increases? Because it's not going to start producing thousands of them, is it? It is going to be a slow ramp up to start with.
Well, the first answer is the network isn't ready. If the network was ready, they'd already be flooding with Model Ys. The number of Model Ys we've seen that are potentially being held for Cybercab is quite small, in the low hundreds, maybe even less than 100, but probably in the 300 to 500 range. That's just because they're ready to go today. While we're still ramping up the Cybercab line. I suspect Cybercab will be limited to the Austin area upon initial rollout so that they can be close to the mothership to iron out any production problems that may have gone unnoticed. Any recalls, you're right there by the people who know how it's built, rather than scattered all over the parts are all right there. You can get them back on the road immediately. And as soon as it's sufficiently validated, which I don't think will take much time because the number of miles will rack up very quickly, they would be able to then, begin expanding from there. But on the production line itself, there's a real desire to get the line perfect. It's hard to change a flat tire when you're already on the highway. Get it all lined up absolutely perfect, as close as you can, until it's time to actually switch it on and go. So that's what I see them doing, with making first a few dozen and now probably a few hundred Cybercabs, is getting the line dialed in so that when it is time, they can really open the floodgates.
Yeah.
I like to tell people who are concerned, it's a small car, it's low, I can't get in and out, or my aunt can't, or my grandpa can't, some physical disability, is the seat height is the same as wheelchair standard height. So if you can get in and out of a wheelchair, this will be easier. And the door is so big that all you have to do is back up, sit down, and swing your legs in. The door hole is very large. That opening is massive. And the same to get out, swing your legs out and stand up. The door will not hit you in the frame will not hit you in the head. It is far enough back because of the shape of that door. So they have genuinely labored over this to come up with the correct approach to getting in and out, and it works. When I did my video, I was holding a mic in one hand and a camera in the other, and I still got in and out just fine. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm not the most nimble man out there.
Surely not. I saw you climb onto that Cybertruck frunk, no problem.
That was an adventure.
It was. Talking about FSD uptake, this has been a bit of a surprise and a revelation to learn. In the land of FSD, where you guys have got the most extraordinary technology at your fingertips, the adoption is still pretty low, isn't it? At 12 to 13% in the US. Do you think the real uptake only happens once reliable, unsupervised, or robo-taxis, when you can add your car to the robo-taxi network? Do you think that's going to be the time where people really recognize the value of unsupervised FSD?
I've seen take rate numbers as high as 20%, because last I heard it was 10% globally, and most of the globe can't have it. So I know people who bought Teslas that came with FSD, the launch edition or a founder's edition, who don't use it. And I say, why? What is your problem? They say, I just like to drive. I just like it. And I get it. I get it. I know people on the flip side who say, I would never buy a car that doesn't have it. I'm so used to it. And I say, look, you and I agree, but there is 80% of today's Tesla owners in the US who don't have it at a minimum. It's probably higher, who do not have it, do not care. Now, we know when it's free, that take rate goes up to 50%, because Elon said when we do those promos, half the people don't use it. Well, half do. So it could increase if the pricing decreases. But to your question, what could make it jump? Part of it is people don't know it exists yet. Part of it is people have no experience with it, or their experience is outdated. If you only saw version 9, 10, 11, you probably don't have any interest in using it because it wasn't very good yet. But anything 13 or newer, my gosh, it is awfully good. And when it becomes the sort of thing where you can go unsupervised, where you can send your empty car to do something or send it out on the network, that's going to be a whole different game. I do think one thing that can improve sales this year is getting FSD approved in more countries.
Yes, please.
People won't care. Some will. Some people will sell whatever car they have today specifically because it doesn't have this feature that they've been waiting for their whole lives, even supervised. So that I think will increase sales.
Yeah, I think that's a real interesting point, just from trust issues from the early versions, because when it wasn't anywhere near as capable as what it is today, it must have put a few people off from even trying it or just trusting it, to be quite frank. But I think I think the old thing of butts in seats all over again. Just getting people in a Tesla and going, oh look, it can do this now, and then minds will be blown. But then they've also got this price lever that they can pull at any time as well. If they really want adoption and take rates to go up, they could just pull that lever, I suppose.
One I'd like to see is give me an annual price instead of a monthly price. Spotify does that. I don't know.
Oh, see what I mean? Not buy a one-off purchase, but just have a yearly
discount,
cheap discounted amount. Yeah. I do wonder how much of the habit of as well. Just when you get into a car and you're presented with a steering wheel, you sort of think that, well, I must drive this. Then it's going to be totally different when you get into a Cybercab, isn't it? And you just sat back. I loved someone from the All In Pod. Can't remember, was it Chamath Palihapitiya, who said, how many times have you got into a taxi and wanted to take over? It's like, oh yeah, that's the alarm bell moment for me. I'm like, oh yeah, of course you won't want to drive.
Full human driving from the passenger seat can be terrifying.
And of course, you guys are waiting for version 14.3 this week. I believe that's in employees' hands as we speak, being beta tested, and with the hope to roll it out by the end of this week, which is today. So yeah, have you got that yet? Have you known anyone who's received it?
I haven't heard of anyone outside of employees getting it, and I haven't heard of employees getting it. I just have read from Elon that that's a thing that's happening. It's really tricky to test software because if it's neural net end to end, you can't say, here's the 9 changes we made, go out and focus on those. You don't know what the changes are. It's a black box. So you have to just, it can mean that the testing is longer. But there have been times when Tesla has released a dot version, a point version that didn't make it to the public. That for whatever reason, they just skipped it completely and went to the next one before giving it to the public. Must have been some regression in there that was just not acceptable.
Yeah.
The only regression we have right now that's driving us crazy is navigation has gotten really clumsy and weird. Like it'll once tried to take me to the rear entrance of a Costco. I'm not cargo, but thank you, I suppose.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah.
Version 14.3 has been described as a major step with a much larger neural net, improved reasoning and reinforcement learning, making the car feel sentient and filling the last piece of the puzzle for autonomy, which is what Elon said a long time ago. By the time we get to 14.3, he thinks this really will be the cherry on top. Let's hope he's right. And hardware 4 vehicles will get it first, and then hardware 3 gets a lighter version later on.
Version 12.6.5 or 12.6.4, whichever one is on hardware 3 vehicles currently, is very good. I had a chance to drive it for days in Tampa when I was there a few months back for an event, and it works great. It's not quite as good. Some of the decisions are not quite as good as on hardware 4, but it's been really refined and dialed in because they knew it would be the last one it gets for a while. And when you're solving a big problem like this, you don't know how much overhead you need. You don't know what it's going to take to actually solve it. So once it's solved, then you can figure out how to compress it and make that 14 light for hardware 3. But just the behavior out of if something happened and I had to have a hardware 3 car for a few weeks or a few months, I'd be very happy with the performance of FSD on that.
That's great to hear your thoughts on that. Yeah, good. From someone who's got version 14. I'm sure you are already, but make sure you subscribe to Futuraza and go and watch his videos. Look, you got Jason on there. You got all sorts of wonderful guests, great videos, always brilliant breakdowns. You know far more than most about Tesla. So please do go over there and subscribe to Brian of Futuraza. And it's been a pleasure talking to you, Brian. I know it's been too long, but let's not make it as long next time. So thanks for being here, mate. Really appreciate it.
You bet.
I will. This is the Tesla Jigsaw. Thank you, patrons. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.